And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, joined by our great friend Dave Petzo, the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial, on Facebook, on Twitter. Dave, good to have you with us.
Kevin, great to be here.
So we'll just start off with, what do you have for us today?
What do I have for you? Okay, well, let's see. Excitement over the weekend. All right, so Tiger Woods makes a big comeback, but probably that's not why I'm here. How about this? I thought that the changes in media are just phenomenal now. Of course, we're at or near all-time highs, blah, blah, blah. But what's going on in media, Kevin, is pretty interesting to me. What's with Disney launching its new streaming video service. We have a competitor in Netflix's space. That's all good. We've got Fox buying out. The Fox buyout is continuing to shake out. It's really a big time for media, and I'm not even talking about Apple TV yet.
Fair enough. You were on fire over the weekend, boy. You were railing against the media, if I recall.
Well, of course, the misreporting I always rail against. That's just sad, because it does put people in a place where they feel more doom and gloom than we should, worry about things that don't even exist. And
now, are you the most objective person, though?
Am I the most objective?
Are you the most objective person, though? I mean, you're always railing about this and that. I mean, if you had your way, would there be any financial reporting?
Yeah, there'd be some, but it would be less.
It would be Petzo approved.
It would have to be. Hey, if I'm the king, I'd have to approve it, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think that it helps people to have too much reporting, and also breathless reporting about things that don't matter. Frighten people. It makes them do things like we've talked before, tucking money in investments that won't work, high commission stuff, ties it up forever, and when they discover that they've been bamboozled, they can't get out.
Well, on the other hand, though, then why do you have a lot of corporations using those tools to pay people?
Do you mean the insurance companies actually making the product? Because they make money. They don't use it themselves. I mean, it's not like an insurance company's out there buying them because it's a good product.
Well, let's just say annuities, right? Your favorite topic.
Right.
Right. You know, you have a lot of people that's how they pay off their employees and that sort of thing. They put their money into an annuity.
A different kind of annuity than we're talking about. Yes. Do you mean like giving them a pension?
Yes, in place of a pension. Yes.
Yeah.
And you have don't you have a lot of pensions or whatever in annuities?
No, you don't have it. You mean annuities in pensions? The answer is no. The pension funds do not do annuities. They won't do it.
Then how do they make money?
The insurance companies?
The pensions. Where do they invest their money?
Oh, yeah. No, they've invested in bonds and stocks, some of them in other alternatives like real estate.
So they could lose.
They could lose, yes, they could.
All right.
Other than those government bonds, and that's why they have them in there, so they can use those to pay during times when the market is not good. But if we didn't, there was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal probably last week just dealing with the differences in pensions. And if you are earning 8%, which is what most pensions expect to earn, which, by the way, you couldn't do with any amount in annuities, then you end up with the deficit that we still owe in most states is still pretty high. Places like Illinois are still off the chart. But if you drop it down to 6%, Kevin, the deficits just absolutely go bananas. So, yes, they have to. There is no option to taking risk, and it seems to me that when we define risk, we need to define it correctly, which means, are we just defining it by price move, or are we defining it in the short term, or are we defining it by the risk that we won't have the assets we need when we need them to pay the income that we need? As a state, as an individual, it's all the same. And if that's how we define it as a price move, well, then you don't have enough money, period. So that's kind of where we're at. You have to define what risk you want to take, or is that really a risk? Short-term price movement, is that a risk? In some people's mind, in the media's mind, it's the only part of the risk. In my mind, it is irrelevant if what we're trying to do is something 20 years from now.
But not everybody's wired like you, though. I mean, everybody has their...
I feel sorry for people that aren't. I do.
Fair enough. Dave Petzo joining us. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So you started the segment by Tiger Woods winning the Masters. We were talking a little bit about that. Why is this a big deal?
It's a big deal that when anybody comes back, and Tiger Woods is a phenom. He is. There's no question. He was an unbelievable protege golfer. and then also had some unbelievable things happen, all in the public's eye. So he fell down, and then also he had all kinds of health issues. I think he's had 3 back surgeries, things like that, and hasn't won a major golf tournament in 10 years, let alone the Masters, and he pulled it off this weekend. That's quite a comeback. Second oldest golfer in history, only to Jack Nicklaus to win the Masters. So it's quite a remarkable feat.
Sure, but for people that aren't into golf, and we have all this Tiger propaganda, we actually had a young man by the name of Mark calling last hour saying, Tiger used to swear all the time. Tiger was condescending. Tiger was not a nice person, and the golf media really protected him. And then he had the issue with his wife. Mm-hmm. Then he had the back surgeries. Then he had everything else, and yet people are cheering for him.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think I guess
by the way, everybody in America agrees with you on this. I mean, It's a story of redemption, and Tiger Woods is not a divisive figure in this world of identity politics.
Right.
He's very similar to Michael Jordan, where he wants all Americans behind him. But you have these hardcore folks, hardcore golf people that go, look, he swear Jim Nantz, lovable Jim Nantz wouldn't even call him by his name after one tournament.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Look, there's a lot of things I did when I was 25 years old, and I didn't have a microphone all the time, so that's a good thing.
Of course, you weren't making billions of dollars either.
That's correct, but that doesn't change the fact that he's an idiot young man, which most all of us, other than you, Kevin, were idiots when we were in our 20s.
Some of us are still idiots. So
did a lot of things.
Yes.
Right. So hats off to, I think I'm getting smarter. So I'm going to put it this way, to those of us who have gotten smarter, including Tiger Woods, and just doesn't have to pop off about all kinds of things and keeps his stuff in his pants a little bit better, at least apparently. This was a real problem and a problem for people, and I get it.
I don't know what's going on in his pants. You're the one bringing up his pants.
Well, I'm pretty sure that social media knows very well what I'm referring to there. Look, he got into a lot of trouble. It's a famous divorce and all those things, and that's fine. But that's not what I'm referring to. This is good. This is good for golf. It's good for sport. When people come back like this,
is it good for the non-golfers? What
Yes.
makes it a? I mean, it's trending nationwide.
I'll give you an example. You're wearing the shirt right there. Okay.
Well,
the
no,
Patriots.
You can't tell
Most
that
of the
because
country hates the Patriots.
You can't tell that because we're on the radio. But okay.
Okay. So most of the country hates the Patriots. They bounce back from a deflate gate and all those things. I think it's a neat story also, the comeback. Comeback from a poor start to a season is good for all sport. It's that people don't quit. They don't give up. I love what Rania always says. My lady, she always says, so you're saying there's a chance, right? And she just won't quit on her team. She won't quit ever. It's like, okay, there you go. So I get it but I think when we see that and we see people persevere and come back, it says something about the human spirit. It says something that maybe gives us all the hope that we can do better.
I don't know about that. People don't relate to the Patriots winning. I guess apparently it's just for Tiger Woods.
Do you know what? I think okay, but that's not just for Tiger Woods.
Apparently, according to your logic.
I'm not a Patriot fan, but I am a fan of what they've done to create this. It's very difficult in this world to keep repeating being a champion. Once companies, they're one and done, and they're not the Patriots. They continue to roll. There's something great about it, something great about Brady, something great about the coach. There's just something great about that culture there that creates winners year after year after year, and that is something to be admired.
Dave Petzo joining us, taking your calls about money. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. So let's go to a story at KIDOTalkRadio.com. I had a chance to take a look at it over the weekend. The median price in Ada County jumped $10,000 from February to March to $335,000, according to the MLS. Now you have, that's the highest median price, eclipsing last August's record by $1,000 or $600. In Canyon County, the median rose to $230,000, slightly above the previous record of $229,945 set last July. And here we have the big enchilada. Here we go. Now, Dave Petzo, I haven't been here for 27 years like you have, but one of my favorite stories during the crash is when median prices in Canyon County went from $140, I believe, to $70, cut in half. $70,000 for a great home in Canyon County. Ada County wasn't that far behind. I think $150,000 was at the lowest end of the crash, and here we are living large in this real estate economic boondoggle.
We are.
Is it a boondoggle or is it real?
No, it's real.
Hold on, sir.
Okay, for those of you who can't see, he gave me his best Kevin Miller scowl.
Yes, it's what a scowl coming
Terrifying.
coming from a bell pepper here.
I'm so scared I can't remember what you said.
At KIDO Talk Radio. We'll talk more about that. Plus, maybe it's time everybody should, maybe Dave Petzel and I should get into real estate the way things are going. Back to these home prices, though.
Yeah.
What do you make of it?
I think
Record highs.
As it should be, right? And we should have a record high a year from now. Kevin, more and more people are moving here, and that creates demand for housing. And until we catch up, and they're going to play catch up. I don't know if it's 2 years from now, 3 years from now, where I think you will see plateauing for a while and a while only. Just like you do in Denver or any other city that catches fire, it takes a while to catch up with all the new housing, and it's taking us a long time to catch up. And I, like everyone else, am very frustrated when I try to drive somewhere and I can't get there. The roads aren't wide enough, and all those things, Kevin. But they're trying to catch up, and and that's a first world problem to have. Is that people are coming here and we're growing, and I don't like it either. All those Californians just stay home, but hey, you know what? There's some good ones coming here, too.
Well, we've got big issues, though. I was driving the connector on Saturday, coming into work. Usually it's a smooth ride. Slowdowns like it was 8 a.m. on a Monday morning.
I know. It's surprising. And you can't, what is it, all the weekend now? It's a parking lot on Eagle Road,
right?
Too, right?
Well, yeah, Eagle Road.
Yeah, but I'm just, yeah, you're right. Well, that's because a lot of people in the hinterlands live out there and have to use that road to get home. So it is you're right. It's 7 days a week.
Do you have a problem
now,
with people that live outside your beloved Boise?
No, I was answering your
the way your inflection on hinterland. But back to this. Coming up next, we're going to put Dave Petzel in charge of the plan that apparently doesn't exist when it comes to planning roads, bridges, schools, and everything else. Welcome to the Treasure Valley. Now enjoy your 45-minute commute. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Dave Petzel, he never goes too far. So, you a big music fan at all?
I am.
Well, we've just announced more people coming to the Boise Music Festival. I know you're a big fan of the Boise Music Festival. You've got Jake Miller, Tennille Towns, Tone Loc, Color Me Bad, the 10th annual Boise Music Festival, Saturday, June 22nd at Garden City, Idaho. Very exciting. I'm happy Tone Loc is there. He's about the only one that I know. So
you're one better than I am.
You got Pitbull.
Somebody told me Pitbull. I knew that, so I now know who Pitbull is.
The Eli Young Band, not to be confused with the Eli Whitney Band. So,
really, okay.
Let's go to the phones. We don't have any headsets, so we'll just let Terry talk, and then Dave will respond. Terrence from State College, Pennsylvania. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Dave. Hey, Dave. Barb from Sunny Slope, my neighbor up here, called in last week, and she was asking about gold because she's always got a specific gold company that's calling her, to invest in gold. And you told everyone that gold in the 80s was $800, and then you went on to give a comparison on return. Gold in the 80s was $400. So, and just, Barb, so you know, what I could spend a $20 gold piece on in the 80s, I can still buy the same thing today, but you can't say that with a dollar. So that's really all I had to say. We just got more truth in our broadcasting, a little less exaggeration would be good. That's really it. Hey, you guys have a great day. Thanks.
Well, you were corrected.
That's interesting. Okay, well, I will officially go ahead and look it up, but I officially already know that in 1980 gold was at $800 an ounce. It did go down to $400, as Terry said. There's no question. So if he's talking about by the late 80s, when everybody had given up on the hyperinflation gold scare, then I'm sure he's right. But when I started in the industry, it was at 800. But anybody can Google that and look it up, and I will at the next commercial break. But at any rate, what else was the question there? The inflation. No, the statement on the inflation. This is a thing that always is puzzling to me. That you can always, with an ounce of gold all through history, it's been you could buy a well-made suit, right? And that was so it holds its own, and the dollar doesn't.
I think he accused you of not knowing your facts.
I understand. I do know my facts. That's okay. I'll look it up here. But yeah. But anyway, on top of that, what's really confusing about this and confuses the whole point of the inflation discussion is if you're to take a gold piece and convert it back into dollars, which is what everybody does, you would need to have 26,000 of them to equal the Dow today, not 1,300 to equal another ounce of gold. So I don't understand this. Gold has inflationary characteristics, but the dollar doesn't. But if the dollar grows from 800, as in the Dow, to 26,000, that's way better growth than from 800 to 1,300. So sorry, Terry, I don't have any idea what you mean about inflation. That makes no sense. But we'll go ahead and Google gold prices in the early 80s, and I think you're going to find it's 800 an ounce.
Traffic and weather together. Kevin Miller, Dave Petzo here, the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial. Let's go over your big. Go ahead. You wanted to. You looked up the gold.
I did. Right? It was 850 an ounce in 1980 was the high.
Well, rest assured. We're thank you, Terry, for derailing our conversation on that one. So, big news when we're talking about the changing face of media. Game of Thrones premiered recently, probably the most watched show ever. Its final season for HBO. It's ironic that the people that put Game of Thrones in have been replaced since AT&T has bought DirecTV and blah, blah, blah. They've kind of gotten rid of the magic. They don't want to spend as much money on these big, elaborate shows. Could this be the one of the last big television events?
Yeah, it's possible, Kevin. I don't think so. I think with the competition, people will want to make a statement, like with Disney coming out now. It's really quite a thing we're dealing with now within media to change everything around. And we're not even talking about Apple TV yet. But all of these things, what's Disney going to do? I don't think Disney's going to do less regarding to the movies and things like that. But you make a good point. If we're talking about, are we going to talk about doing something like, where they spend $1 billion making a movie? I think movies like that will be made. Maybe a series like this where it costs billions over a season. Isn't it? I mean, this is the most expensive one ever made, isn't it, by far?
It is, and it's been 2 years since they've been back, the longest in between shows. And the amazing thing about HBO is you have to pay to watch it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's even a network show. And yet you have people saying 1.5 billion people will watch this show.
Isn't that crazy? Was it? Yeah, like 1 billion people were watching the new, whatever it was, the season opener last night. So
right.
It was a crazy number. But Kevin, it's I'm not sure that it's over because there's so much money in media. But also, people want to make a splash. What's HBO to you and I if they're not making some original programming? I'm not going to put down the money every month when I can do it at Netflix and all these other things. And I get that they do boxing and things like that, but that boxing's kind of dying out as well. So I think they're struggling to find a niche, and people will pay if you get original programming like that.
Well, are we too Netflixed out? We have Disney, we have Apple, we have everybody now doing their own streaming service.
It could be. It could be. Kevin, this is going to be great for the consumer, though. Think about that. Imagine now we have a price competitor to Netflix. They can't just keep raising their price $2 every year. They can't. And who knows what Apple's going to come up with, or Amazon. They've got plenty of money to develop a streaming service as well. So as we get more competitors in there, you and I are the winners, price-wise for sure.
As long as there's no collusion.
Correct, and I don't think we're going to have collusion. We're going to have more options, and it's going to be cutthroat as business, as capitalism demands. It's creative destruction. It gives us the best of everything. This couldn't happen, Kevin. I want to remind all those folks out there that think the government has a solution for anything. Anything. We all just walk around and accept the fact that we have a new streaming service. That's great, that we can watch anything we want from any device we want. This isn't a government invention. It's capitalists running hard at things, many of which have lost billions and billions and billions of dollars, throwing that money away. And just as a reminder, it really isn't a government think tank that came up with, we really need an extra Netflix-type company out there. We need to drive the costs down for the consumer, not them.
Well, let's hope they do drive the cost down. Dave Petzo, final question. Last week, Dee Sarton, a legend, giving so much to the community from Channel 7, 40 years at Channel 7. I don't know why Dee Sarton is retiring personally. She's got a lot of run left. I've had the opportunity, most of us have had, whether it's on the air or behind the scenes through her charitable work, whether it's Wednesday's Child or just seeing her at the Albertsons or at the Walmart, to know what a true gem she is. Your thoughts on Dee Sarton hanging up?
Dee Sarton, it's sad. I know life moves on. And
what about you, Petso? You hanging it up anytime soon?
No time soon. No time soon.
You're hard charging. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll slow down as time goes by. But
you?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, I realize that my hardest charging days are well behind me, but the answer is
I don't know. I heard Saturday morning you were hard charging, man. But I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry to derail you. Back to Dee Sarton.
Dee is one of the most lovely ladies that I have ever met, and I know when people either retire or die, everybody says nice things about them. But I'll tell you what, if you asked me that question, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have said the same thing. She is one of the most genuine, great hearts. Kevin, I know you can relate to this statement because we see so much out there where people just see her out there. She smiles, she's happy, she's whatever. But I'm telling you what, her heart for foster kids and things like that is a very real, deep-seated thing. She is a true gem, and I hope that she stays here in the Valley and doesn't chase grandkids all around the country, because she's going to be, whoever gets her on their charity board and things like that is going to have somebody with a huge heart that really cares.
Like you.
Well, that's pretty generous of you. Compared to Dee Sarton, I don't have I'm going to be like the Grinch at Christmas.
You're our Dee Sarton.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kevin. I think.
Dave Petso, the Petso Center. Thank you, sir.
Kevin, great to be here. Thank you.
You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. Dave Petso, thank you, sir. You have a great day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. It would not be Kevin Miller in the morning if we did not check in live to Capitol Hill with our great friend Rachel Sutherland of Fox News Radio. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
So here we have it, the president, and let me see if I can be semi-competent this morning. The president really getting buzzworthy here. Let's see if I can play this sound.
We could fix that in so fast if the Democrats would agree. But if they don't agree, we might as well do what they always say they want. We'll bring the illegal, really you call them the illegals. I call them the illegals. They came across the border illegally. We'll bring them to sanctuary city areas and let that particular area take care of it.
Boy, quite a reaction in Washington and around the country on that one.
Oh, absolutely. This idea of sending these immigrants to sanctuary cities has a lot of people upset. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, whose district would be affected in San Francisco, said that the president is using human beings and children as political pawns. So she's not pleased about that at all. Some members of Congress saying that the president can't really use that money that's already appropriated for other things to bus immigrants to different parts of the country. ICE pushed back a couple of times on this proposal. It was floated a couple of times over the past 6 months, according to the Washington Post. And it was interesting because the president actually confirmed that Washington Post story in a tweet. And that was interesting because in this case it wasn't fake news. And hours after the White House released a statement saying the plan is no longer under consideration, the president then said it is under consideration. And White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, she was on Fox News Sunday, talking about this, saying it's very much under consideration. And it's meant to, I guess, try to bring Democrats to the table to negotiate on immigration.
Indeed, of course. First, the folks said they wouldn't do it. Now they said they'd welcome it. I guess the question is it legal to put them all in buses and ship them across the country?
That's the question. I don't know about the legalities of that. First of all, it's moving the money around to be able to pay for this. And secondly, I guess it would depend kind of on their legal status. I don't suppose you can force someone to go to a city that they don't want to go to. That doesn't really make sense, but I'd have to check all that out. I'm not a lawyer. But yeah, and also, Kevin, one part that's interesting about this, I think that a lot of folks coming over probably would head on up to a sanctuary district anyway. That's probably where they would be headed, San Francisco in particular, but there's also some in New York and other places. So it just would, they're probably going to end up there anyway. Busing them there would just get them there faster.
More efficient.
Maybe a little more efficient, yeah. But ICE is also concerned about some of the logistics with all of this and the cost of putting them on buses and getting them there. So it is an interesting strategy. But the president sometimes says he's going to do stuff that he changes his mind about later. Like he was talking about closing down the border with Mexico, what was it, week before last, and that didn't happen. So it just may be more of a negotiation tactic trying to get Democrats' attention.
Right. It's all about the art of the deal. Still waiting for the Mueller report. Jared was telling me that you and he were anxious and hopeful that it would drop about Friday afternoon about 4:45.
I don't know about hopeful, but yeah, when we're working together on our From Washington show, we put it to bed on Friday afternoon, and just about that time, typically, there's some kind of breaking news. It's been this real common Friday news dump. It didn't happen. Actually, I've been hearing whispers that it could be today or tomorrow, and that would make sense considering that the Attorney General last week testified, I believe on Tuesday, that he'd be set to release the report within a week. So the deadline would then be tomorrow. It's not a hard deadline, but just kind of his own timeline on when this could come out. But hey, it wouldn't surprise me if on Good Friday it drops at 5 p.m., right where everyone's heading off for their spring breaks and all that.
Rachel, anything else we should be looking out for this week?
Yeah, I really think, the president today, he's going to, I believe, Minnesota. Yes, he'll be in Minnesota today. In fact, he's just left. And also be looking for the latest in all this kind of back and forth between the president and Representative Ilhan Omar. This video that the president tweeted showing her saying some people did something referring to 9/11. He was upset because he felt like she was taking it too lightly. So then he ended up posting a video with that quote over and over again, kind of intercut with images from 9/11. She says that she's gotten death threats since then. And we know that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is asking the Capitol Police to ensure Congresswoman Omar's safety. The president just tweeted about this not long ago, basically saying that she has said anti-Semitic things. I mean, he's basically doubling down on this. Said that Representative Omar that she's been saying anti-Israel, ungrateful hate statements that Omar has made. She's out of control, except for her control of Nancy, referring to Nancy Pelosi.
Never, one day, Rachel,
dig in at Nancy too.
we'll look back on and long for the days of a president that got a lot of attention. Boy.
Yeah, I think the next president, with the campaign slogan could be, "You'll barely know I'm here."
Rachel, thank you.
All right.
Patriot Ray joins us now. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. You're awesome, man. You're doing a good job today. We love it. Of course, you do a good job every day.
Well, I hope so. I need this job.
Yeah, well, we all need our jobs, right?
Indeed.
I need mine, too. Not sure how much longer it's going to be around, but I'm trying. Okay, so Omar, well, what she needs to do,
hate it when that happens, yes.
Yeah, what she needs to do is go to Aunt Nancy, keep on Aunt Nancy's good side. And then as far as the illegals, well, here's the problem. The reasons they don't want them, because they don't believe they're illegal. They believe they're undocumented. So he needs to send all the undocumented people to these sanctuary cities, because that would be awesome. They want them. They want the undocumented. They think the president is heartless and cruel and just separates families. Well, I say after 20 days, start shipping them over to all of those cities that say, hey, we're a sanctuary city and we need to bring them in. Well, take them. That would be the best thing that could ever happen. Then let's see how long it takes. I mean, California is already screaming, well, we're broke already and we can't take anymore. But they want us to take them. They want the U.S. to just let them cut loose. No, let them cut loose in these sanctuary cities. So there's my couple of minute diatribe this morning.
Well, it's always welcome.
Go ahead.
It's always welcome, Patriot Ray.
Oh, I'll tell you, man, being able to listen to you in the morning is one of the bright sides of every day. And so we just enjoy what the callers have to say and what you say. And yes, we want you around for years to come. So you just keep hanging in there and keep doing what you're doing because you're doing an awesome job. We love it. Thanks a lot.
Before you go, my prayers are with you about your job, brother.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're going to get a little more information on Wednesday. We'll see whether we get to stay or go and how long it's going to be before we go or get to stay. But it's all good, right?
That's why we love you. So optimistic. So optimistic.
Yeah, well, God bless you, Kevin. You and everybody at the studio just does a great job.
You were going to say you and Patriot. You were going to say you and Patriot Ray, but that's you. You mean Ray Amaya?
Yes, I do mean Ray Amaya. So I'm just had one of those brain moments at my age. I guess it comes a little more often than it used to.
You and me both, brother.
We love it. God bless and have a great week.
God bless, Patriot Ray. Scott in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Scott.
Hi. Yeah, I don't know why your Rachel didn't mention that there have been reports, many reports, that were already busing the illegals into cities right across the border, like San Diego and probably El Paso. I don't know if there's a law that says they can only be bused, 5 miles, but if it's already legal to bust them across the border, I don't know why it wouldn't be legal to bust them another, 200 miles.
No, I would agree with you, and I think once again the president lays the smack down, and they don't know how to handle it. I love this quote.
We could fix that in so fast if the Democrats would agree. But if they don't agree, we might as well do what they always say they want. We'll bring the illegal, really you call them the illegals. I call them the illegals. They came across the border illegally. We'll bring them to sanctuary city areas and let that particular area take care of it.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. And we got to make sure that they don't allow them to say that it's illegal to do it because they're already doing it right across the border. Let's have our facts straight.
Scott, thank you for the call. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And Tone Loc coming to the Boise Music Festival along with Pitbull, the Eli Young Band, so many more. Check it out now, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to the phones, and we go to Hank. Hank, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. I think that in one fell swoop, he's shown that the true people using these people's political pawns are the Democrats. There's nothing to gain by dumping them in California from the Democrats. They already flipped California. The objective in this allowing them by stopping Trump building the wall was basically to flip Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado permanently in the Democratic column, make it impossible for the Republicans to win the White House. And so there's nothing to gain by dumping anymore because California is already being flipped. But here's the problem from the Democrat standpoint, is that if they overwhelm the welfare system in California and the education system in California, since the income tax exemption for these high tax states is exempt, they can't tax any further without creating a massive outpour from California and increasing the flow. And if they're forced to go for assistance to the federal government, they have to deal with Trump in order to get concessions. It's the last thing that Nancy Pelosi or Governor Newsom in California want is to have to go hand in hand for federal aid to Trump to bail them out. That means that Trump can extract in any kind of deal he makes considerable concessions on a number of issues, and that's the last thing that Nancy Pelosi wants. So that's what she's crying about. But I mean, the compassion and where they want to welcome these people, and these are gifts of God. If she really meant all that, she'd be jumping up and down saying with the San Francisco and Los Angeles will jump up and down to have these gifts of God. So that's the phoniness of it.
Hank, great call. Thank you for listening. Let's go to Max in Garden City with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, Kevin. You know, there's a beauty in the simplicity of shipping these people to sanctuary cities. We take every immigrant, give them $100 in cash, put them on a bus, and send them up. And these are the newspaper headlines I'm crying to see. Sanctuary city refuses migrants. Starving immigrants turned away by San Francisco. California rejects poor migrants. They could cut their own throat. by the actions of Mr. Trump, sending all of these illegal aliens, which is what they really are, up and over to sanctuary cities. I think it's brilliant. I think it needs to be done before it can be challenged. If they need to make this a matter of internal policy so the courts don't have direct effect, and take by policy and stick them on a bus. You want to go to San Francisco, amigo? Here's $100. Go. I think it's beautiful. But he needs to stop talking and start walking. Get this done. That's all, buddy. Good show today. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate you.
We could fix that in so fast if the Democrats would agree. But if they don't agree, we might as well do what they always say they want. We'll bring the illegal, really you call them the illegals. I call them the illegals. They came across the border illegally. We'll bring them to sanctuary city areas and let that particular area take care of it.
Conservative Steve with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Conservative Steve.
How's it going, Kevin? Well, I think, I agree with Max and probably millions and millions of others that if Trump proceeds forward and he'll do what he says like he has been doing, follow through, man. Obama used to always do executive order things, and he didn't care what the laws were. Let him iron it out in the courts later. He needs to go ahead and do this because I think if he does this, I agree with Rush. He'll be voted in again. He'll become the president again if he follows through. They are so out of touch with this immigration problem. It's unreal. I'll give you a quick story here, Kevin. 20-some years ago, when before I left the People's Republic of California, we on the San Diego border, they were trying to round up some of this immigration stuff and stop some of it. And a guy took some photos on the San Diego border. Right across the border is a post box, U.S. Postal Service post box building. And he went down there on the first of the year and he took photos. And all these people had to do, Kevin, was walk across the border, go to the U.S. Post Office, pull out their post box, and their welfare checks would come to them right there. And the guy even said they didn't even have the courtesy to pick up the empty envelopes that they threw all over the floor on the first of the month. Now, how do you like that? They come right to their P.O. box across the border, a few feet across the border. They come get the check on the first and walk right back across the border at the taxpayer's expense. And that's a true story. And that's 20 years ago. I just hope it doesn't happen in Idaho.
Well, you're right about that, Conservative Steve. Let's go back to the phones. We go to Tess. Tess, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hi. I know that a lot of people are calling in making comments about it'd be kind of a funny chortle yuck yuck to transport people to these cities. So I can tell you that, it's estamos aquí, mis amigos. We are already here, my friends. Here last Wednesday, my son-in-law's cousin lives down in Idaho Falls, works at a gas station, and a huge bus pulls up. Driver gets out, opened up the doors for the luggage, and 40 adult men plowed out of there and took off running. Now, a small group of them were picked up by a pickup truck, but where do people think they're going to go? They need food, clothing, money, transportation. They're going to go to your home and take what they need.
Thank you, Tess. Quickly to Kurt Boise, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, I think it's a good idea, but I think we need to figure out some way to make sure that they stay where they're going to be. You know what I mean? If you want to come to California, that's great, but what's going to stop them from coming somewhere else? I don't know. I don't want it to make it sound like the mark of the beast in the Bible or something. But if we could put a chip in them like you do your dog, then at least you could track them.
Oh, it could track the illegals. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, no, well, that's what I'm saying. So they come over, boom, put that little chip like you do your dog in them. See you later. And then all of a sudden you got something they got a positive ID on who they are. Then because half of them don't give their real name, and they say we don't speak English.
Great call, Kurt.